You know, at first we heard that Matthew was missing limbs, and so we're like, well, that's okay, we'll get prosthetics. You know, we'll help him. But then the one doctor there said, well, that's not the issue is that he might not live. And so, or if he would, then there would be a lot of disability involved, and possibly a mental disability too. And so, yeah, it was just, we just wanted him to live. It didn't matter about the missing limbs. Like we just wanted to have a baby.
Yeah. And one of the doctors had mentioned the A word, abortion, and had said that if you had known earlier, that could have been a possibility.
Yeah, and as soon as he had said that, Don's brother was actually in the room with us because he was or a resident at the time at the hospital. But we just both said, well, that's not an option. Like, that was never an option for us. So, like, I just wanted my baby. I didn't believe in abortion, so.
Why was that not an option for you?
Well, I believe that God has designed life and has a plan for each one of us. And so
even knowing that your child might be born with a lot of disabilities and challenges, this was not an option for you?
No, not at all. I would just, we would just deal with whatever child God gave us.
So you prayed?
Oh yeah, we prayed a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tell me why? Why choose to do that?
Well, for one thing, we sort of both felt very alone. Nobody else we knew had dealt with anything like this. It was just Don and I. And I also felt like my spirit was crushed. In Psalms, it talks about that God is close to you when your spirit is crushed. And that's just how I felt. I felt really low. And so really for us, the only way to look was up. And that was to pray and also to read our Bibles and to see what God had to say and what he could help us with dealing with this.
So take me to that day that your little Matthew was born.
Okay.
What was that like when you saw your baby?
Yeah, well, that day, I remember my water broke at home, and all the things we'd been told that he might not live or whatever, I just remember I was happy to finally go into labor. You know, I had been waiting from 28 weeks on to find out what this was going to be, and I was just happy that I was going to have my baby. And so we went in, and I ended up having a C-section. And so Matthew was whisked away to the intensive care doctor to assess him. And so I didn't see him right away, but 20 minutes later I did. And I just saw his beautiful face, and I just knew by looking in his face that he had no mental disability. I just knew it. I could see that bright spirit in him. So that was really, I was just so happy that he made it through the delivery and that he was there.
And there was a nurse that kind of was watching how you and Dawn were treating your child, and she said something to you. What did she say?
Yeah, she said she'd been nursing for about 20 years and she'd never seen anyone react this way. And so she was...
React what way?
I guess just that we just loved him the way he was, and we were just so happy that he was there. Yeah.
And so as Matthew got older, tell us about some of the challenges that Matthew has had and what he was born with.
Okay. Well, Matthew was born, he's a quadruple amputee. So he was born missing bones in both of his legs and in his arms. And what
are the challenges maybe that Matthew faces?
Yeah, the challenges that he faced, also the things that we were concerned about when he was younger was, number one, a big concern was, would he walk? Number two, would he be able to feed himself? Yeah, just anything really. Would he ever, and I never even thought he'd ever be able to do something like drive a car or, live on his own or whatever.
Yeah.
But the main things were feeding himself, going to the washroom, walking on his own. Those were the challenges.
And what has he shown you over these years?
Well, basically, the first 2 years, he showed us a lot.
Yeah.
He started feeding himself at the age of 2. At the age of 3, he started walking. Yeah, and all the other stuff all came along. And so he's just, every time he has done something new, it was just such a celebration for us and just a huge event.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, but when we return, we're going to meet Matthew and hear how determined he is to live his life to the fullest. Stay with us. Well, we're now joined by Matthew. Hey, Matthew, thanks for being here.
Thanks. Yep. It's awesome to be here.
Now, as you heard your mom share the story of the challenges that she had, how does it make you feel? I know you've heard the story many times. How does that make you feel?
Well, it's almost surreal. Like some of the stuff I actually hadn't heard. It's just I feel like I learn something new every day. I can't believe what my parents went through and just the will they had just to power through it. It's awesome to hear. It makes me feel honored to have such great parents. So
Yeah, parents that love you deeply.
absolutely.
Tell me about your life and maybe challenges that you have and how you've overcome it. It sounds like your mom says that you haven't allowed anything to stop you.
No, I don't know. I guess one step at a time, right? Like when I was younger, of course, there were challenges like that. And as I get older, I feel like one of the big challenges is just keeping up with people, right? But what you have to do is you just have to recognize that they're not trying to, they're not trying to leave you out of things or anything like that. They're just doing their best to include you, and you just gotta live life, as you said earlier. It's just, yeah, take part in as much as you can. Like I see these people driving and I'm like, well, I want to do that. And I've met a couple people who are like amputees, multiple amputees who drive. So I wanted to figure out how to do that. So what we did is we went down to, it's rehabilitation, like at Health Sciences Center in Winnipeg. We went down there and we just looked into how I might drive. We saw some videos of other amputees driving. We showed them some of the people we know and how they go about driving, and yeah, step by step, we slowly figured it out, found different modifications that worked, and ultimately I was driving about a year and a half later.
Wow. And Grace, the heart, I'm just thinking as a mom,
Yeah.
what was that like?
Well, it was very exciting.
Yeah.
But it was also a little bit scary too. But I think for any parent, it would be scary when your child starts driving.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't even want to think about the day that my children say, Mom, could I have the keys to the car? I also want to hear about your passion to share Jesus with others.
I know it's tough being a university student and there's so many different ideas flying around, and yeah, I just want to show them the light, right? That like I face challenges, but I see Jesus every day in my life, and I know that they have challenges too, and that they can definitely power through those and get to know Jesus for themselves.
And I think there's something powerful about you sharing the message of Jesus, Matthew, because people could say you've had challenges. Why would you believe that there's a God that loves you? What would be your answer to that?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, my answer would be that just like every step of the way, there's been so many challenges I've gone through, and just God's been there. Just hearing my mom say like how I was born, like it's totally a God thing how they were able to go through with that much courage and just be able to just stick in His Word and not give up having faith. And I mean, it's clear there's a God, just all the things I've been able to experience, the fact that I've been able to drive or just have the privilege to do all these things. I had a surgery when I was younger to fix my club foot so that I'd be able to walk. And one story is I was having a surgery because this got infected, and they had to just take a piece of my bone off here, and I was lying there on the operating table, and they were trying to put me to sleep with a needle there with an IV, but they kept, I don't know, my veins are tough to find, so they weren't able to get it, and eventually they wanted to move down to this foot here that I had surgery on when I was little, and I got very nervous about that, so I just prayed, God, just please, I want to give them one more chance here to put it in my hand. They were pretty insistent on the foot, but I'm like, God, just please intervene right now. I pray that you would just help me to just be able to get through this, and that you would, if it's in your will, just to be able to have the IV work in my arm, because I'm really scared. And that really reinforced my faith, because it was like after 5 different tries, all of a sudden, once I prayed, it just happened, just like that, snap of the fingers. That was unbelievable. So yeah, just life experiences, things like that. Yeah.
Grace, I'm thinking about a mom watching at home that maybe has just gotten news maybe similar to yours, that their child might be born with some disabilities, or they might have a child right now that has some challenges. What would you say to that mom?
I would say to them, number one, I don't think the doctors always know what exactly the outcome is going to be until that baby is born. A lot of times it's an educated guess, like they can sort of say what they think, but oftentimes it's surprising how the outcome is. And number two is that if you trust in God, He will help you through any situation. And I mean, when I think how scared I was before Matthew was born, and you know, I didn't even know if I would be able to handle it or not. But God was right there with us, and He helped us all the way through. And just to trust in God and just let Him help you and guide you and give you wisdom, and to know what kind of decisions to make, you know, with the health care and whatnot. And He will. If you trust in God, He will help you.